What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 117 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self-proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, and sometimes it's someone new. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode. And feel free to browse through existing episodes so that you could catch a previous interview about a book that you finished. Today's episode features a chat with RaeAnne Thayne, welcoming her back. We're talking about her book Snow Kissed, that is available now. Perfect, cozy, wintry women's fiction romance to get you into that Christmas holiday mood. I really enjoyed it. RaeAnne is becoming one of my favorite closed door romance authors, women's fiction authors, because you could tell that she's got a lot of experience. Some spoilers do pop up in these conversations, but the episode is more enjoyable if you've read the book anyway. So if you're not sure about why writing a character like Ryan, the main male character in her book, why he's probably one of the more favorite types of characters for her to write, hit pause, add this episode to your playlist, and go pick up a copy of Snow Kissed. The interview will be here when you're ready. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors and their work. Whether the characters just need to get their shit together or I'm saying what the fuck to the author for making me feel things, just please be mindful around listening ears. And now a word from Crystal Hope, founder of the Book Podcast Connection.
Hello, listeners. My name is Crystal Hope. I am the host of Must Love Books podcast and the organizer of the Book Podcast Connection. The BPC is a networking group of over 100 book-related podcasts, from fantasy to romance to horror and every genre in between. There are even podcasts for authors and writers. Check us out on Instagram at Book Podcast Connection or at www.bookpodcastconnection.com and discover your next bookish obsession.
I know I'm biased, but I definitely recommend that you all check out the amazing plethora of bookish podcasts and subscribe if you're looking to get more out of your reading lists. Without further ado, get ready, grab your favorite drink. Here is RaeAnne Thayne. So today we are welcoming back RaeAnne Thayne. We're talking about her book Snow Kissed that just came out recently as of October 7th. RaeAnne, good to see you again. Thanks for joining me. Happy to catch up. And this book was super cute and it really does get you in the holiday season. And I'm excited to talk a little bit more about it today.
Oh, it's great to see you. It's great to be back. And I'm really excited to talk about this book. It meant a lot to me writing it. It was lots of fun to write. And I was able to include lots of different things that I've never written about before. So it was lots of fun.
Oh, yay. That's awesome. We'll jump right into that, but can you give us a summary real quick so people can follow along?
Sure. So this is the story. This is a book in my Shelter Springs series. It's the third book in the series. They're standalone stories, so you don't need to have read the previous books. But this heroine was friends with two of the other main female characters of the previous books. And she's got a twin sister and she's got a daughter with special needs. She's divorced. Her husband basically walked out on her and her daughter 2 years before. His sister's getting married at Christmas time. She's a florist. They've asked Holly, the heroine, to do the flowers for the wedding, and they want her little daughter Lydia to be the flower girl. So she's going to have to go to this wedding whether she wants to or not. Her ex is going to be there with his new wife and their new baby, and so she is in need of a date. It's the fake dating trope, which I've never written before, so it was lots of fun for me to write that. And so fortunately there's this really handsome Navy helicopter pilot who moves into town, and she enlists his help to be her plus one at this wedding. And they make a deal that she'll help him make his niece's Christmas wonderful in return for him going with her to this wedding. And it's super fun to write. It was super fun to write their story. They're just two wounded people who really needed joy and happiness this holiday season.
Yeah, I always really enjoy your characters and what you do because there's lots of opportunity to make the exes family and all that, to make them just like horrible people, but you like kept things civil and kept it like really mature where like everybody involved, like her sister knows like how difficult the mother-in-law can be. Like
Right.
she totally understood, and Holly is like such a patient person, and even the love interest Ryan, he's just like, if that were me, I would have said like, go kick rocks. Like,
Yeah, and that was important for me to write because it was she was dealing with a custody situation, and I know how hard that can be for
yeah.
people, especially at the holiday season where you have to be without your kid for a while during the holiday season, and that's tough. When she'd never been without her little 5-year-old daughter, and her daughter had special needs, and she was worried about her ex being able to take care of this child, and so that really came from a place of authenticity, trying to make the best of the situation for her child's sake. And I know so many moms who have to make that choice, as hard as it is. They have to do what's
Yeah.
best, and she knew that her daughter needed this big support system, and if that meant playing nice with her ex and her ex's family, she was willing to do that for the sake of her child. So that was really
Yeah.
important for me to write about.
And I think that will resonate with a lot of readers where it's not always like super catty. It's not always like the ex is just like horrid. It's like you could tell ideally he's not, there's a reason why they're not together, and he's not a horrid person. Like he admittedly she's coming around to the idea that he's trying to do better and trying to consider that. And also even like his new wife who like was the reason why I was like, RaeAnne is like being so nice here with all these characters and their relationships. Maybe that's like where it leans more like on the women's fiction rather than like the straight up rom-com, because I could see where someone could like an author could take that opportunity and just add more drama, add more messiness and chaos. I enjoy like kind of the potentials, but yeah, it was fun to see Holly deal with that situation with totally realistic standards and realistic people.
I hope so. I've seen some reviews where people are like, she's too nice. She should have kicked these people, kick rocks, like you said. And I get that. And I think that there's validity to that in certain circumstances. But I felt like in Holly's circumstances, she really did need to get along. This was going to be her child's stepmom, probably for her daughters the
Yeah.
rest of her life. And even though she was the one responsible for breaking up the marriage, not really, because Holly, 2 years out from the divorce, has realized they weren't a good match to begin with. And it was one of those things where life pushed them together. She's much better off without him, and she knows that. And so she takes the higher ground. And I do like writing characters who do that because I feel like that shows a lot of character growth, because it can be easy to fight about with people. That can be the easy route to go. But when you're trying to demonstrate to your child and to your family that there's a different way to handle the situation, you do have to sometimes swallow those emotions that you want to yell at everybody about, and you learn to get along to get along.
Exactly. It was realistic, and it's just no, like this would happen. I enjoyed that a lot. Maybe let's explore what are the other types of things that, or tropes or storylines that you were able to exercise and take advantage of that you've always wanted to.
This kind of was a redemption story, not necessarily of these two characters, but other people, sub characters in the story. There was a dialogue between Ryan and his father where they had been estranged because his father was not a good father. I don't want to say he was abusive, but in a way he was, because he was very distant, very cold to his kids. He was a military guy, and just that was his focus, was his career. And so Ryan has a lot of resentment towards his father because of that, because he felt like his dad was not there for him and his sister. And as a result, his sister sublimated all her feelings and ended up drinking and going the drug route. And so she's in rehab now because she didn't deal with her emotions after losing her mom in a healthy way. And so he blames their father. And so now he's in this town where their father's close by, and he's got to deal with that too. And his sister does not have the same estranged relationship with her father. So his daughter, whom he has come to town to help with, has a great relationship with her grandfather and his new wife. And so it's really that I like to write messy Christmas stories because I feel like everybody's Christmas is messy. Everybody's got those relationships that are hard to deal with and hard to figure out and hard to work their way through. And I try to show in my books that it's hard and it's emotional and it's tough, and these things can really rip your heart out, but there's some grace and beauty to learning how to get through it, and maybe starting to forgive mistakes that people made, not knowing any better or not being capable of handling things better at the time that they were in their life and the place that they were in their life.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Because there is a certain vibe around the holidays where,
Yeah,
like, it's just the mood that everybody is in, like, oh, the holiday spirit. It is a thing. It's like, you could feel the energy around you. But, like, yeah, that with big families, maybe even small families, there is an element of chaos
right.
potentially, especially like even when with you have to like split families, like how you mentioned. I've grown up with my parents are still together, my husband and I are still together, his parents are still together. So we don't have much experience with like the splitting the time in that sense, but when it comes to like they both host on Christmas Eve or they both host Easter, things like
Hmm.
that, or even just around any major holiday, it's still splitting up time between the in-laws and then my parents, and then it's like a lot of driving, and it is, you're right, like it could be like a happy chaos or it could be like, oh God, okay, no, it's okay, we're just family. Or it reminds me of like there's your messy cousin again. Like, how are you doing? Like, you're making some bad choices. It's like when you catch up with everybody and you just like, it's a present like affection and it's
Right.
like holiday intimacy with people either by blood or not by blood. And it's, yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's also more fun. It's more hilarious. Like, at least until I started getting older and all your family members are getting older, like your cut, there's just like so much potential for all of that, like Christmas joy and chaos. And that's what that reminded me of with Ryan having to confront his feelings. And he's surprised. He's like, what, since when has my dad like had that loving look in his eye? Like,
Right.
since when has he been so supportive and like to the point where my niece is running into his arms? Like,
Yeah.
what, like, when has he ever been that so affectionate or looking at and his current wife that way? Like, that is like one way that you add depth, because I love that, of course, like he's broody. Like then you get to know him. He's like, oh, he's just got like this kind of one like elephant in his room
He's
that
wounded. Yeah,
he's not dealt with.
he's
Yeah.
got a wound in his heart from feeling rejected basically by his father, or feeling his dad was like, suck it up, kid. Yeah, your mom's dying of cancer, but suck it up. We got to deal with what's going on. And so he never really processed those emotions of his mom dying, and there's resentment. And so he's basically spent every holiday on his own. He's told himself he doesn't need family, but now he's thrown into the situation
Yeah.
where he has no choice because he's a good guy and he's helping his sister who's had to go to rehab after a car accident. She's basically put herself into rehab to figure out what's going on with herself, and so he has to step up to help his niece, and so he has to deal with these situations. And really, Christmas is beautiful and wonderful. It's also can be horrible and lonely, and at the same time we're all dealing with loss, we're all dealing with
Yeah.
difficult things. The dedication of the book meant a lot to me because there's so much truth to it, and I wrote it thinking of Holly but also other readers who I know are going through similar things. And it's to everyone missing a child, a parent, a partner, or a friend this Christmas: you're not alone. Love can stretch across miles, silence, and time. Hold on. So I just felt like there's probably nobody reading any of my books who has not suffered some loss, who doesn't have an empty seat at their table for some reason, who doesn't have somebody who's not there that they can
Yeah.
celebrate. And so it is wonderful. It's about family, but it's also about missing family who's not there.
Exactly. It like even makes that spot, that empty chair stand out more.
Right.
Like when I think I was at an acquaintance's funeral, and the pastor, or I don't know what his official title was, reverend or whoever, but one thing he pointed out that really stuck with me was that the first year of the big things are like the first Christmas without them, the first anniversary without them, the first birthday without them, the first whatever, like these big momentous like occasions that have been marked, but like it's the first time that they're not there. And that's
Right.
like so true. It's like so poignant and true. That's not really something that a lot of people warn you about. But now I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, that's so right. Like, does those momentous occasions, those like calendar occasions, they really do like it's marked in a significant way, and that's when, yeah, those missing chairs like stand out more, because it's like there's no butt in that seat, there's no person taking up that
Yep.
space. There's so like that's what that kind of reminds me of, where Ryan is on the other end of it, where he's purposely distanced himself because he knows slash thinks it's not going to be a good time. Not going to find anything he's looking for or expects there. He expects the worst. And then when he comes and finds out, like, oh, like wait a second, this is not my dad. Like, and it's like sweet because like you could see the dad's trying, and I just want to like shake Ryan, like you swoony broody hunk, like just talk to your dad. I know it's hard. We could do hard things, like
Right.
regulate your emotions, like become emotionally mature. You
And
know,
he was a great character to write because he's so broody and dark and thinks he's got his life figured out, but he's having a health crisis as well. He was in a
yeah,
helicopter crash and he's trying to rehab himself to get back on the job because that's all he thinks he has is the job. So he's dealing with that kind of in the background, but he's also always told himself he's not cut out for family. He's not going to hurt other people like he was hurt. So he's just figured out he's not set up for that. And then falls in love with this little 5-year-old girl. He can't help it because Lydia is just a doll and everybody loves her and he just
and you know she owns it too. She's
she
just
does.
like, "Hi, you're my best friend now." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's a tough cookie at
I
heart.
love some of the sentiments you put in there. Some other characters are like, she's got to be tough. Like,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
She's got to have a strong head on her shoulders, and because, you know, and I don't have much experience with people with Down syndrome or special needs. My cousin, he does, one of his children do, and one of my other cousins is, but he lives out of state. So it's just, it is one of those things where it's like, if it's a child, like, you can't help, but you have to learn. You know,
Yeah.
like, you have to learn. And Holly was even like, when she was pregnant, she's like, I didn't think about doing anything drastic like that for a second, like prepared, and but that's all she's known for like the 5 years and she knows about, like, being a mother is just like, not only is she stepping up into this demanding thankless role, but now it's like dialed up to 10 because her child has special needs and she doesn't always have access to the resources that would be most helpful. But yeah, like I love like how all the characters just like they flock to her and they support her, and
Right.
they're like no, she's got to have a good, she's got to be strong-willed, she's got to be a
She has to be fierce. Yeah. So I have a son with disabilities. I think we maybe talked about that the last time. And so we're very much in this community. And while our son has cerebral palsy, not Down syndrome, all of his best friends or lots of his best friends have Down syndrome. I've loved them through the years as he's been in preschool and things like that. And I love the fact that so many of them, they're just fierce and feisty and know what they need. And every mom is a mama bear, but a mom of a special needs kid takes that mama bear to a totally different level because you know that you've got to be your kid's advocate and you've got to fight for your kid because there's nobody else that will. And so that's kind of part of Holly's personality now, is that she needs to, every choice she makes has to be what's best for my child, because I'm a single mom now with basically sole custody. Her husband lives out of state, so she's basically on her own, even though she has a really warm, loving community around her. Family's right there with her parents, and her ex's family is really great with her daughter as well.
Right.
And they're really loving too, and she knows that she's got to do everything she can to help this child.
Well, even
And
the fact that they want her to be a part of the wedding and she's just, like, but she like appreciates it, but it puts her in a tough spot, especially also like, oh, would you mind like doing the floral arrangements too? And like, Holly strikes me as someone who, like, I feel like almost anybody in a profession with close friends or a family like that, they'd be like, oh, who do you have doing your floral arrangements? Like your flowers, like, why didn't you ask me? But Holly's, I can see her on the fence about that, where she, yes, of course I'll do it. Like reluctantly, but also almost like looking forward to it. She just like, I think she just doesn't want to be a guest. She just doesn't want to attend. Like she'd rather like, just here you go. I'll be in the background doing my thing. And if I don't, like, okay, no, but yes, I know Lydia's going to be very excited, so she had to say yes to that. She's like, oh. And I love, like, the whole sister dynamic where her sister, Hannah, I think it was,
Hannah.
she pushed that idea of, like, oh, my sister needs a date. Like, how about you help out? Like, would you mind? And, like, even then when he brought it up, she, like, I loved how you had Holly being like, she did not ask you like, on my behalf. Like
Well,
she was
it's-
super like, and
it's
Ryan
such a
was just
sister
super
thing.
smooth about it. Like, yeah, it was, yeah, absolutely such a sister matchmaking thing. Cause
Yeah.
I could tell Hannah was like, come on. Like he's right
He's
there.
perfect.
Like,
He's perfect.
yes.
He's from out of town. He's gonna leave again. He could be your boyfriend forever if
Yeah,
you want him
exactly.
to be. Nobody needs to know if he's not your out of town boyfriend.
Like she's
It was-
like, she even says to him like, you're perfect. He's like, for what? Like what do you mean? Like because he's good looking enough to like raise, what's okay, Holly, like who's this? I love it. I love it. I think you just have a knack, like as far as romance goes, I think you're quickly becoming like one of my favorite closed door romance authors because you don't get like spicy or anything like
No.
that, but the pining. And I think you said like inappropriate flutters or like or like she something like that. I just remember giggling at some of the words like you had Holly describe her like calm down. Like, excuse me. She recognizes there's some things, feelings that she hasn't had in a long time. She's like, what is that? Oh, I think I remember those feelings. There's something endearing about that because it's like, we all know what they're thinking. Like, you don't shy away from it. You're like, even, I think even when I remember reading The Lost Book of First Loves, it was like the main character, like, he knew like in his point of view he was like he wanted her. He's like, I want her, like.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we all know what that is. It's intimacy and it's that primal like the sexual drive, but like you just handle it from, you don't shy away from it, but we're not going to get graphic here. You know what they're feeling, you know what's going down, because I do appreciate intimate, the open door scenes in my romances, but it's also refreshing. And I probably told you this before, where with your books I don't feel like I'm missing anything, because they all talk about how good looking he is and how broad his shoulders are and how like fit he is. He's a sexy pilot, and then he's like notices he's attracted to her right away, but then Lydia comes in like, hey, what's up? Like it was like funny to see the process of them. And just from your writing style, where you're like, yeah, this romance, but you're like, I don't need to go there. You all know what's happening, and we'll move on. Because she even said like, I can't sleep with you tonight, and it's very apparent that they want to. Or even just like the details of like whenever they kiss, it's like, oh, like she automatically melted into him. We all know where that like those feelings come from, and
Right.
so but it does add, there has to be some element of that with a romance, because you want to show how their feelings are growing, you want to show how their relationship is developing, you want to show these things where there's very clear tells. But then yeah, there's like a whole spectrum of it. I always joke like, this Snow Kissed will be a book that I feel comfortable recommending to my mom. So it's like versus
Well,
like where you could have gone with it.
and
Like,
I have written sexy books. I think we maybe talked about that previously too, that my first probably 20, 30 books were full sex. I had no problem with that. It's just that I found myself really loving the emotional journey between the characters, and I wasn't enjoying writing the other part. And I realized I didn't do it as well as some other authors do. And so I decided to focus on what I felt I did well, which was
yeah.
showing these characters and their emotional journey toward coming together. Everybody knows that's obviously where things are going to end up. And I think my books I consider them sensual, maybe not sexual in terms of, there's definitely heat between them. There's definitely heat on the page. But like you said, the readers know what's going to happen. I don't need to show that. There are other authors who I feel like do that tons better than I did. And so I'll focus on the emotional part of it. And you have to make choices as an author, and that's the choice that I decided to make. For
Yeah.
I don't consider myself a prude or anything. I have no problem reading books with sex in them. I love some of them. Some of the authors write really sexy books, but I just feel like my gift was the emotional part and the community, also showing the community around these people.
Yes. Yeah, that is definitely something I noticed for sure also. Like you're good at showing friendships or relationships, like platonic even, like, or familial relationships, and like how those people, like platonic intimacy. Like intimacy can be how close you feel with a person, but I often say, oh, there's intimacy, but then there's like, you could just be platonic, like friendships that you care to one another. You move mountains for them, but you don't feel romantic or romantic feelings towards them.
Right.
But you're absolutely right, because as an author, you have to like, if you are struggling, I feel like that has the risk of coming off on the page.
Right.
If
That
you're
was my
struggling
fear.
writing a scene.
I
Yeah.
just felt like after 20, 30 books, I'd written this scene before a million times, and there's nothing new I'm bringing to this. Let other people who do it tons better do that part of it, and I'll focus on this part.
I know, and it surprises me like how much the conversation has just been so much more open and public about it on social media, about like, it's okay, women like sex, it's okay, like smut, whatever. There's a community where it's like, I like reading that too, and it's not a bad thing. It's just like, it's hot and it's part of the romance and it's part of like two people coming together. And
Right.
if you don't like those types of books, like just make sure you're taking care of your own like book searching for recommendations. Make sure that you're honest. Be like, you know what? I'm not into this type of stuff, but I like this type of stuff. That's totally normal too. I don't see as much of it, but I feel like there's a lot of like shaming in people who enjoy reading that type of material, and it'll say like, oh, it's equivalent to porn. I'm like, it's not. That's the only
Yeah.
thing you could compare it to. Like, there's just straight up erotica, yeah, but like, first of all, I'm like, so what if it's like porn? Women can get into porn too. Like, there's so many differences, like substantial differences, like between comparing the two. But it's just stop trying to shame women for liking things that you don't think that they should be like. Oh, it's not ladylike. It's like, okay, like that's fine.
Hopefully,
Just
we've moved past that as a
I know.
society. You'd like to think we have, but
I
it
know.
doesn't
I
feel
see.
like it.
I know my algorithm doesn't feed me some of what I'm hearing,
Hmm.
but that's just up to me. It's like make your algorithm kind of work for you. And then if you like instead of hate commenting or watching these things that you complain about, just scroll, just keep scrolling. It doesn't even have to or pick a book you're like, "No, that's not for me. I don't like that." Like I think it's a lot with like men too. The difference is like how they receive or read like sexual content and maybe fantasy, for example. It makes them uncomfortable. But I'm like, but we're all naked apes. If you see a woman showing skin, your eyes are gonna go to that. Like you men are visual creatures. It's like,
Right.
but it's really funny when I had my husband read some books that I recommended to him, and some of them have really like racy things or like open door scenes. I just warned him about it. He's like, all right, you said this one's kind of spicy. I'm like, yeah, there's a few scenes in there. He's like, all right, let's do this. He just needed a little pep talk, and he was not even phased at all. Like even when I'm sitting there, like, so did you get to this part yet? I'm seeing like what he's gonna think, and he's just like, yeah, they banged it out, so what? He like doesn't even like, which is refreshing, but not every male reader is like that. It just like makes them like super uncomfortable, and but we're like, if I tell him jokes about it, where I'm like, then he kind of like laughs because he's like, whoa, like where did that come from? I'm like, the internet. It's just what I've seen other people write, like, and it's hilarious. So now I get to share them with you. Just certain things, but no, I enjoy talking about like the different ways that you could approach romance, and that you were like, nah, like I'm good, been there, done that. I know what I'm good at. I'm gonna do what I want and what I enjoy, and there's
Right.
still a readership for that.
And I love that fact that it wasn't always the case when I first started writing. I sold my first book 30 years ago this month, so I've been at this for a
Oh,
very long time.
congratulations!
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I've been at this for a very long time, and I've seen the industry change and change again. And I love the fact now that whatever you like to read, you can find books that fit that, and but I also feel like don't limit yourself and say I like only sexy books and never read a
Right.
book that's maybe not sexy, because you're missing out on some good storytelling by and vice versa. If you tell yourself I'm only going to read closed door books, you're missing out on some beautiful writing. And
Yeah.
so it's just important to leave yourself open to focus on the story, not necessarily whether they're fitting exactly everything that you think you want in a book.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, because, and even people who might get distracted by like the love story, if there's too much for them, it's like, then, like, if it's bothering you so much, you're missing out. Like, you're upset, like, you're missing the politics or the world building or whatever. Like, you're missing other things because you're just so focused on why is this in there? It's like Fourth Wing is an example where there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it than like the few sex scenes that are in there, which happen to be graphic. But I had my cousin who read it. He was like, he had a problem with it because, oh, even besides the scenes, he's like, it's like every time they are with each other, it's like they're flirting with each other or they're talking about how much they want to like have sex. And I'm like, it's so much more to that. I think you're just so distracted by some of these like things that maybe make you uncomfortable that you're missing like the bigger deals of it, like the things that go deeper, like how it's like just not just a love story. It's like overcoming the powers that be and what have you. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right where it's like, I guess it's whatever your personal preference is, but I'm also, you can't compare every book you read to this or to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do want to touch on like the sensitive topics because there are like potentially content warnings with like PTSD or death of a parent or a child with special needs or even with substance abuse. I wanted to like how did you navigate those or even like maybe any extra research you had to do to like make sure you were approaching this like with care and with authenticity?
There are multiple issues going on, as you said, and some of those I have had experience with, life experience. The child with special needs, I pretty much know what it's like to have a 5-year-old with special needs that you're trying to get through the system and do the best you can for them. So that part I did some research on Down syndrome and some of the statistics about where children are at certain ages in life, at certain ages of progression, developmental disabilities. So I did research that, and I did research Ryan as he's dealing with his PTSD a little bit and dealing with trying to figure out his career. And I did a lot of Navy research because I didn't know a lot about the Navy, so I had to research about where he would be, like what his rank would be and how he could get out if he needed to get out and what he might do after that, and some of the rules and regulations for how can you get back to work with this sort of injury, and or would they put you on a desk job, and what are the physical criteria? I had to think about that. Mostly when I'm researching a book, there are certain things that I'll suddenly go down a rabbit hole and think, oh, I better find out about this. And I spend all day long thinking, oh, I learned all this stuff, and I might use a tiny little bit about what I learned. But that's part of the fun of being a writer.
That's so common though. Like I love asking authors. Like that's almost one of the questions I always ask, because it's so funny that it's like almost the same thing. It's like you fell down a rabbit hole for like 3 hours and then it's like 2 sentences, and it's like, I love it. I think it's hilarious and like so on point, because of course you would. Like, because I even when I'm, or I don't know if it's like, if there's some kind of like neurodivergent aspect to it, like maybe all authors have like a little of like where they like just get focused on something, or like maybe they'll get pulled away and sucked in, and or if you tend to either get pulled into different directions, or you are like, whoa, and before you know it, it's like, oh shit, like I gotta make dinner. Like you're like
that happens,
and then it does.
time.
It's like you become an expert for a short amount of time. Like
right. And a lot of that's part of the beauty of being a writer, is you learn a lot of things, a little thing about a lot of things. So I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but I know a little about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And just enough sometimes to get me through. And sometimes I make mistakes, just enough to make me think I know what I'm talking about. But I don't always get it right, but I try.
No, it's okay. You're hoping that other people on your team catch that for you. You would hope, but at the same time, you don't want to necessarily like rely on them. You got to be like, you got to do your best.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's important for, I think like sensitivity readers, I found out was a thing like, I don't know, probably just a couple years ago. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So smart that you have people, or some authors have people who they're like, is this okay that I said this, like, that I wrote it this way, or is this offensive? And then it's like also subjective, right? Like someone might be like, no, actually that's not a big deal, and while other people are like, oh, like clutching their pearls, and it's just you gotta be careful. Okay, I'm gonna throw this at you. Well, Cookies touched on them. What were the most challenging parts to write? What were the most enjoyable parts to write?
I would say the most enjoyable parts for this particular book were all the Christmassy things, because I love writing that. This was like my 20-something romance that's set at Christmas time. And so I do love that part. I love the holiday season. I love all that. So writing the sparkly lights and the decorations and going to the Christmas market and all that kind of stuff was really fun for me. At the same time, I would say that was also one of the most challenging parts. It was enjoyable, but it was challenging because I've done so many books. I don't want to write the same book that I've written multiple times before. So how do you write about these very same things that you've done before in a new and unique way? And that really comes down to these characters dealing with it through their own point of view. So everybody's Christmas is different. You bring your own past to your Christmas. And so that's the way that you can make it feel fresh and new. Let's see, what else did I enjoy? I enjoyed all the scenes with Lydia. I just loved her. She was just so cute. And I did enjoy writing about Ryan and his dad trying to come to peace together, because I like writing characters that have been through tough things and have to learn how to forgive in their heart a little bit, because I feel like that's kind of part of our emotional journey. We don't always have to forgive, but sorry, I've got so much beeping going on here. You don't always have to, and you shouldn't always, but in certain circumstances you have to weigh, is this worth it, holding on to this pain? Am I the one being hurt by this pain that I'm clinging to? And if I let go of that, how can I open myself up to all this other joy and love in my life?
100%. No, you're absolutely right, because I think forgiveness is such a hard thing to do. Like apologizing comes to me not that easy either. I don't know, maybe I'll blame my dad. Like I'm self-aware. I might know that I should apologize, but I will sit there and I will need some time before I say it. And then also part of that is like forgiving people, it's really hard. Like, I think it's difficult to like move on maybe. Like, I can forgive, but then it's like I will see you differently because of this thing. So in terms of like forgiveness, it can come really hard for people. But like also, I don't think I necessarily hold a grudge, but it's really, especially if like I know someone's lying to me,
Right.
then I'm like, for some reason, that's just, I can't forget that. Because it's either like I'm one of the least judgmental people, I feel like, or at least I'm usually open-minded. But I can't help but see it as like, if you're lying to me, that means like you think I'm stupid, which I'm not okay with that. So it's like hard, like when people lie to me, it's really hard for me to move past that. It's like, I'll still be your friend, but I'm secretly thinking a certain view. You know what I mean? Like, I can't take everything you say to heart, because I don't know if
You
you do
lose
move past
trust.
that.
You lose
Yeah,
trust. And if you lose trust, it's really hard to get that back.
it is hard. It's hard because I'm like, and I do my best to be like, yeah, if I do something wrong, I completely have no idea, but I couldn't even, I don't even see a reason for lying. So like, to me, that's just like hard for me to accept. It's like, why would you lie to me? That forgiveness, totally, like that whole journey that Ryan has to go on. I totally appreciated that, because you know how hard that was for him. And he was holding out for a while, even though he's seeing all these examples that his dad is trying, not just with him, but with other people in his life. Like, he's trying. He's being there for his wife, who is like confined to the home and to a bed and to a chair due to the accident, or even with his granddaughter, and just really trying to be different. He's trying, and not just with Ryan, but Ryan is being a witness. And even he's like, yeah, Kim mentioned that like he's more part of their lives now, but it's one thing to hear it and then another thing to like, oh, it's true. This is not the father I remember. And there was a point where like I totally understand, especially as that's a hard age to lose a parent, and that's a hard age to like be treated that way by your other parent. Like,
Right.
that's really, and he's just has such resentment, where I totally appreciated that. Like, no, you got to go through this, so then you can move on with your,
Yeah.
your love interest, like your love life. Take care of this, because Holly deserves you to like have your shit straight,
Right.
like she deserves that, because she doesn't have time for this.
She's got
She's a
enough on
single
her
mom.
plate. You've got
Yeah,
to come to
exactly.
her with your stuff taken care of. It. You're exactly right. And I guess
Exactly.
that's one of the things I like in writing Christmas books. Just I love the romance part of it, but I also love to show that you don't fall in love in a vacuum. Nobody does. You've got all these other things going on in your life, and it's not only about this relationship. It's about healing yourself with all these other wounds before you're able to fully embrace this other person and be there for this other person. So that's always part of the story that I write. Like, no matter what circumstances these characters are in, there's always some part where they have to deal with the rest of the stuff going on in their life before their heart is really open and free to be
Yeah.
in love with someone else.
Yes. Yeah. And like, emotional regulation is a sexy thing. Like, we all like a man who has his emotions intact and is mature to like just handle things with cordially, or just with
Yeah.
healing and recovery, and trying to like make themselves a better person, and try to get their house in order.
Right.
And like Ryan, we talk about how hot he is and how caring he is. It's like how he worked well as like her date, as her plus one. He was like charming
The
everybody.
perfect date. Yeah, he talked
Yeah,
to
like he was.
everybody, and like you said, he flirted with the aunties and
Yeah,
all the things that he did that were just exactly
yeah,
what he needed to do.
absolutely. I love that too, how you write like the older women. Yeah, like, just, hey, look at who's this guy? Like, special delivery. Like,
Right.
yeah, no, those were like the parts that were like super cute and hilarious, where I'm just like smiling and giggling like an idiot reading your book. Just like, she had him read the card for him. And he just does it. He was such a good sport. He's like, yeah, okay, because he's probably used to it by now. But I love how he was like, my sister makes me out to be some kind of player. She's talking too much about me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really appreciate it. Like, she's just, is she wrong? Is she
Yeah.
like, do you get serious, or do you stray away from the serious relationships? He's like, oh, yeah, they're just like super funny, cute moments like that. I love like the main characters kind of teasing each other, or
Right.
when a guy who like the male character, or even the female character too, when like they don't know that they're hot, but they are hot, or like they don't know, but they know, but they're kind of like used to it, but they're not like, there's like a delicate balance there. I don't know. Something about it just like makes me giggle. It just makes me giggle.
I think I like writing characters like that where they're uncomfortable with their sex appeal, and that's kind of Ryan. He kind of like doesn't quite get why why all these women are going crazy for him. He doesn't quite understand it. Because I think there's a vulnerability about him
Yeah.
too, that he feels comfortable in the cockpit of a helicopter. That's where he feels comfortable. Everything else is whatever, but that's his happy place
Yeah.
and the zone where he
He
feels.
had some moments, like solid flirting moments with Holly, though, where he was just like, no, we're supposed to be madly in love with each other, right? Like, let's just go for it. Or where he just couldn't, he was like drawn to her and he just made some moves and she's like, whoa. And even then I was like, I just remember reading it and being like, ah. So yeah, no, I love that too. You're right. It is like a little vulnerability where it's maybe they're uncomfortable with it, but they just like Ryan, he was a good sport about it. He's
Yeah.
just like, oh, you're perfect. He's like, what? Like, super funny. Okay, this is like maybe like a funny question that doesn't necessarily have to do with your book. What are there any books that you feel guilty that you haven't read yet?
So many books that I feel guilty that I haven't read. I haven't read a lot of the classics I did in high school, but that's just not the thing that I'm into anymore.
Sure.
And all the books,
Yeah.
everybody's like, surely you've read this. And I'm like, yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't read Pride and Prejudice all the way through. I've watched the movies, loved the movies, but I've never read the book all the way through. I've started it and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit slow and it's hard for me to get
Yeah.
into this. And so there are quite a few. I'm pretty much a very, I don't know the word for it, but I read what grabs me. I'm like a mockingbird who
mood
just
reader?
moves to whatever I can find. And so whatever, I read very widely, but I don't read very deeply, I would have to say probably.
That's funny because did you say I think I did Pride and Prejudice as an audiobook and
Oh,
I couldn't like tell you it was easy to zone out because it was slow. It was boring, like
yeah.
almost. But it did follow the tropes of the classics, right? Because I was an English major in college. Like I read so many that are classics and are just like stand the test of time. A few of them do stick out, but like I think was it Wuthering Heights is being made into a movie, I think, with Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. I think it is. I've read that for my degree, my English degree in college. I had to look it up because I forgot what the book. I was like I forgot some of the plot points, and then I'm like because I think I was just reading so much like for analysis for like papers and stuff like that. Don't feel guilty about not reading the classics. It's okay. Unless maybe it's for a movie adaptation. I want to read the book first. Now, it took me so long to read Lord of the Rings. Like I refused to watch the movies even if it would like come on TV, like normal programming, and my husband would be like, "Oh, sweet, this movie's on." And it's like, "Can we watch it?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen it yet." He was like, "What?" Because he knew I was such a bookworm. He's like, "What?" I'm like, I haven't read the books. I don't want to watch the movies until I read the books." And he was like, what? It was really funny. But so no, I'm right there with you where it's kind of like I do have some that you're like, I don't feel like it.
Right.
Like I don't feel like it. Plus Lord of the Rings,
It's
it's dense.
dense.
It's dense where I'm like it's so epic, right? It's
Yeah.
such like it's going to stand the test of time, but it's even when you watch the movies. It was funny cuz like The Hobbit, when that came out, I was like, okay, like I'm familiar with his writing. So now I'm like, okay, like it was still dense, but it was like wasn't that supposed to be like written for his kids or something?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what your kids like college level like readers? Like I don't understand. Like how old were your kids when you were writing this? When the movie then they split it up into three movies or whatever. I think yeah, no, you're right. It's like there are a couple where you feel guilty for not reading because you feel like you should have already,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I would just or if you're good with audiobooks, I would say try
That's
but only if
exactly. I've listened to a lot more books than I've read in the last year, probably, and a lot of them that I probably never would have been able to
yeah.
make it through sitting and reading it and holding it. But listening to somebody else tell the story is so much easier because I
Yeah.
can be doing other things in my life
Exactly.
and I can focus on the story, but not to the exclusion of other things that I need to take care of.
Especially, yeah, absolutely. Especially if the narrator, the voice actor is doing real. Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive, I listened to all five books and it was like 250 hours across
Really?
all five. It was a lot, and it was dual, it wasn't like true dual narrated, but it was like the female point of view was read by the woman and the male point of view was read by the man. And they both did excellent. They were both excellent. Otherwise, I would not have been able to do it. But it took me like all year for sure to get through them. And now I'm like, oh, I got to take a break from audiobooks. I'm like going to catch up on my podcast shows. You're absolutely right. Like while you're doing the dishes or cleaning the house, or I try to make sure I go for walks. And it definitely helps like just, absorb the information and the story without like feeling like you have to, like that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
For sure. What advice do you have for Ryan? What advice do you have for Holly?
Ooh, from like midpoint of the book, it depends on where we are in the storyline. Right now, I
Yeah.
would just say the book is done for me.
Yeah.
Be happy and go live your life and be kind to each other. But as we're about halfway through the book, I'd just say to Ryan, suck it up and see that people can change, and give your dad props for trying, and also don't live the rest of your life constrained by the ideas that you had as a young man, saying, I'm never going to have a family, I'm not going to
Yeah.
go down that road, I don't want to hurt somebody like I was hurt. Get over that, because there's people who want to love you, and you just need to open your heart and let them love you. And for Holly, I'd say she was wounded by her divorce. She felt betrayed. Obviously, her husband left her for another woman. She feels very inadequate. And I would just say,
Yeah.
see yourself how everybody else in your life sees you, instead of how you feel betrayed and vulnerable and inadequate. Look at how
Yeah.
everybody else loves you, and maybe that should tell you that you're worth being loved.
No, that's so true because all the characters thinks like she's the badass. She was boss ass bitch. Like, but
Yeah.
she's just like a little frazzled and worried that she's doing a good job as a mom. But that's like where I like the love story where they figure their shit out separately and then together. Like they can, because you don't want to send the message that like, oh, I had to, I couldn't grow by myself. I had to because of this other
Yeah,
person helped me
you
grow.
fixed me. That never is the
Yeah.
answer. You have to fix yourself first so that you're ready for
It's
somebody
yeah, they
else.
kind of pointed each other in the right direction where they're like even Holly was like pointing out like, well, maybe consider that he's not like that anymore. Like maybe you're just like from what I've heard or what I've seen, and then Ryan's like you're amazing and thoughtful and caring and kind and you're a great mom, and she's just like like she doesn't see herself that way. And even plus yeah, people they know her flowers and they know her as a business owner, and
Right.
they are all like in her corner and they love what she does like all the time. Like every customer of hers is like so satisfied, and she's just like,
Hopefully,
this is just another job.
and hopefully that's a lesson for all of us as we're reading it, that look at how people feel about you, and that should help you feel better about yourself, because I know that all of us, most of us, have people in our life that love us and think we're wonderful,
Yeah.
even if it's our kids. But there's truth to that, and so it's good to see yourself through other people's eyes
And it's
sometimes.
so important. You're absolutely right because it is like you're thinking bad about yourself or talking bad about yourself, and you have to ask yourself, would I allow my best friend to say that about themselves?
Hmm.
No. So why are you saying it to yourself? Why are you allowing you to be mean to you? Kind of something because we're all our own worst critics, right? It's like
Yeah.
especially people who are like more modest or self-deprecating, they're not gonna like they're gonna see, or a perfectionist maybe they're gonna not see the greatest parts about them, or the unique parts, or even like the not so like awesome parts, but that's like part of what makes them. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, you're a little messy, but you tend to figure it out. It's just like you overcome a lot because you got a lot going on, blah blah blah. It could be like almost anything where you're absolutely right. That's solid advice for like everybody, just
Yeah.
like everybody, unless it's a person who like they don't need any help thinking good about themselves, and it's like maybe you need you're good,
Yeah,
maybe
you
you need to tone it down,
tone it
like
down, right? You think a little too much of yourself and move on from
right,
that.
absolutely. Are you working on anything that you could talk about?
Sure. I just barely finished next summer's book, and it's called The Rainy Day Bookshop, and it is. I'm having so much fun. I had so much fun writing that book. I'm eager to hear from my editor yet. I haven't heard from her yet about where I need to fix things, but I loved it. It's a kind of a mom and daughter story where there's a reunion between the mom and daughter who've been not necessarily estranged, but separated. They were estranged for a while, and they've just lived separate lives. Now they're in the same house, and it was lots of fun to write. And I'm starting the next Shelter Springs book, which is Hannah's story, twin sister to Holly. So I'm just in the process of plotting out her book and having lots of fun with that.
Oh, so fun. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, because she's like a little,
She's feisty
she,
too.
yeah, and she comes off as like a little goofy,
Yeah.
maybe like a little like pragmatic too. Like Holly, come on, like she's
Yeah.
kind of like she's a go-getter, but she's not afraid to kind of like give it straight. At least with her sister, but that's like her other half almost,
Right.
like her other familial half. And no, that would be a fun story to read for sure. I love that. So you said Shelter Springs. What other titles are in the interconnected standalones?
Sure. So the first book is Christmas at the Shelter Inn, And that came out a couple years ago. And then last year I had the December Market, which is out in mass market paperback this year. So you can find that in the lower cost version. And then this Snow Kissed is the third book. So Hannah's story will be the fourth one. And right now the working title is, I think, A Cozy Little Christmas. That's what my editor,
Yeah.
kicked that one
Yeah,
around.
you definitely have a thing for the holiday
Yeah.
settings, the holiday environments. But though it's fun. And like it's a cozy time. It's
Yeah.
a cozy feeling that like who doesn't love a good holiday? Almost like a Hallmark. Like sit there. We know what we're getting. We know what we're
Right.
getting, right?
That's
Like
what I hope people take. It's hot chocolate kind of a book. That's what I've had people describe my books as hot chocolate, and I love that because it's comforting and it's soothing and it's sometimes exactly what you need during the holiday
yeah.
season is just to sit down and slow down and relax into a story where you know it's going to end happily, but it's the journey of these two people getting there and figuring out the lessons they need to learn to get there.
Absolutely. Almost like the equivalent of like a beach read, where it's just
Yeah.
kind of like you're just chilling.
Yeah.
You're just chilling, but it's not tropical or it's not like,
You're by the
summer and
fire
sand.
instead of on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beach.
You're cozied up with a sweater and yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. That's so fun. Okay, so RaeAnne Thayne, where can we find you online and on social media?
Sure. My website is RaeAnneThayne.com. My socials, I'm author RaeAnne Thayne on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. I'm a little bit on TikTok, not too much on TikTok, but mostly Instagram and Facebook. You can find me for the most part.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I'll go through and I'll pick clips out and I'm like, wait, who's on TikTok? You're gonna just get a lot of notifications from me during when I finally like edit it and release the episode. So I warn authors, you're gonna get a lot of tags there, but there's quite a few good clips that are worthy of that 90-second or 60-second little teaser or whatever.
Oh, good.
No, it's funny because like a lot of authors are kind of like, I'm just like a lurker, but you
Yeah.
could find me. Like you can find me.
I'm very
Like
active on the others, and I'm active
yeah.
on TikTok once in a while when I remember. I go on, and I just don't
Yeah.
like to videotape myself, so I have to figure out what else can I do.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because some of those creators are just like they're creative. Like people come up with like the perfect scenarios and the editing and like the lighting and all that, like with scripts even. I'm like, good for you. Like you were putting in the work and it's paying off
Yeah.
one way or the other. But I know I'm the same way where I'm just like I'm on there to make sure Cantina Book Club is on there to make sure that I'm reaching all corners that are relevant because I try not to get sucked into I want to watch my algorithm, right? Like I get it. I get it. Just like it's okay to lurk. It's okay to lurk. Okay, so RaeAnne Thayne, Snowkissed is out now as of October 7th. I recommend it, like you said, for a holiday read, for a cozy corner fireplace read, a hot chocolate book, hot cocoa book, and it's happily ever after, cute, and some very funny moments. I recommend, like, again, I will lend this book to my mom.
Good.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep an eye out for you and your other works. And if and when you want to come back, feel free to, I'd love to chat again.
Love to. It's great to talk to you again.
And there you go. That was RaeAnne Thayne talking about her book, Snow Kissed. That book is available now. Check out the show notes to see links where to find RaeAnne online and on social media and where to purchase the book. In the show notes, you'll also see where to find Cantina Book Club on your favorite social media book communities, such as Facebook, Threads, Book Talk, BookTube, Bookstagram, and more. And I would really love and appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe and follow button so that you never miss out on book reviews or author interviews. If you have any book loving friends who are looking to get more out of their reading lists, please share Cantina Book Club with them so that they can find upcoming releases and interviews with authors. Another way to help this podcast is to head over to your favorite podcast player and give Cantina Book Club a rating and a review. It helps me to reach more potential listeners and book lovers like you. And that goes for any podcast that you listen to. It's one of the easiest ways to help out. If you need more book recommendations, you can reach out to me. I'm always so excited to share my recommendations. You can head on over to cantinabookclub.com for more in-depth reviews from all genres. And while you're at it, you can subscribe by entering your email on the website so that you can get new reviews and author interviews delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support Cantina Book Club even more, you could donate by finding the form on cantinabookclub.com. Whether it's a one-time donation or as little as $1 a month, I seriously appreciate the support and will share my appreciation with you by showing you some love on the show. And finally, one of the best ways to help authors promote their works is head on over to Amazon, Goodreads, Storygraph, or wherever you keep track of your books and give the title that you've read a rating and a review. It helps them out so much more than you would ever realize, aside from actually purchasing and reading the book. Thanks so much for listening, and see you next time. Cheers.